Welcome back to Real Talk with Sadie. I'm your host, Sadie Ingen, and this is part two of my amazing conversation with costume designer Cynthia Summers. She is known for her incredible work on the HBO series The Last of Us, a series of unfortunate events, a hit movie, Swan Song, and much, much more. This is just a continuation of our amazing conversation about all things costume and passions for life. So let's get started.
Couple looks for Joel and Ellie, I think, where they were not for the entirety of the episodes, but that a look traveled over 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Changed along the way, got dirtier, got blood,
Yeah.
lost a piece, gained a piece,
New
got rips,
shoes.
got tears, new shoes.
Mhm.
The story sort of dictates what happens to the costume
Right.
as it travels. So that's a slightly different sort of technique or process,
Mhm.
other than a fashion driven series where a character will have 5 different changes in one episode and they definitely will never wear any of that ever again. It's
Yep.
like you wear the same jeans more than once, okay, maybe, but everything else has to be brand new all the time,
Mhm.
which is
And
challenging but fun in its own way. Doing something that has to travel over
yes.
throughout a story and evolve as a character, as
Yeah.
a costume, um, is a different kind of challenge because you have to know ahead of time, for one, where that costume's going to go. You have to know that it's going, and you don't always get the script 4 episodes ahead, so you might not know.
Oh, interesting.
But on a production that's large, like The Last of Us,
Mhm.
all of that, most of that information was available to us almost at the beginning.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as I said before, sometimes it changes, the script changes, the location changes, the character
Yeah.
changes.
Mhm.
Um, who they thought they were going to cast, they don't, or they add more characters into the story that don't exist in the game. So the
Yeah.
story kind of becomes a little more broad. Um, all of
Oh,
this informs the costume.
I like that. And
Yeah.
one of my questions was, I know I've seen Instagrams where it's like Pedro Pascal's fit, or maybe it's like Joel Miller's fit, Ellie Williams fit, and they will tag a sweater that was found because there's one with like an iconic tree.
Yeah.
Um,
Pantry.
Ellie's wearing like a gray sweater with like outline of trees too, and you can find that online. Do you collaborate with certain companies for a
Uh,
show? Do you
I'm
thrift? Are you
super glad
thinking?
I'm super glad you brought them up.
Sure,
Let me dial this question back a teeny bit. So
sure.
when you're doing something that is a post-apocalyptic world,
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, so our world stopped 20 years prior to when we catch up to them. So we saw 2003 Austin, Texas. So that was
Yeah,
dated looking wardrobe for 2003. But basically our story visually stopped there. So fashion stopped there. Nothing was produced beyond that
right. Like our
timeline.
mall scene, episode
Mhm.
7, where you see
Yes,
everything. That's
yes.
kind of where it
American
stopped, I
Girl
guess.
store. Yeah, American Girl store. And
Hmm.
there was a Victoria's Secret.
Secret,
And
I like
yeah,
that. And Foot
yeah,
Locker. Yep,
yeah.
that's
Foot
where it
Locker.
stopped.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So, so there's fashion that existed up until 2003. So some characters maybe, like we all have jeans that we've had for 10 years that are our
Oh,
favorite and got tons of holes and we keep wearing them. So there can be fashion, that's still relevant 10 years prior to that. Also, if you have characters that are elderly or um, that have come from another country that are in our story, their fashion can be even older than that and or look different because it's not originated from America. So there's all of these things that play into that.
yeah.
So generally, and Tentry was an exception to this theory.
Okay. Oh,
um,
that's the brand.
but
Oh,
yes, it's
okay.
Tentry.
Tent tree. Yeah, yeah.
And so generally, I look for things that are nondescript when we're
Okay.
living in an apocalyptic situation, because otherwise you're fighting against time and place. And
True.
also everything gets so deconstructed during an apocalypse. Not that I've lived through one, but if you think about
We
a war,
almost did. No, I'm kidding.
yes, we almost did. But even if you think about a war, like our references for, which is really freaky, our references for the Boston QZ were I can hardly say it because it's too new, but I had visual references from Syria and from the war in the ongoing wars in the Middle East, all of them, and Africa, and of course our most current terrible war in the Ukraine. And so I had like real contemporary visuals of
It's wild to
war
say.
that's happening now, which is horrible. Like I have goosebumps
I
just
know,
talking
me
about it. It's
too.
so awful. It's so
Horrible.
awful. And you know,
It's
yeah,
reality, and he brought it to a story that's
it's
fictional, and it
it's
is kind
awful
of
and it makes me
relevant.
kind of sick, really, when
I
I think
know.
about it. But it's, I don't know. I guess it's sort of portraying, when we got to the Boston QZ, I'm going to start there because that was our first, that's where we shot first.
Mm.
Craig really wanted to make sure that it didn't look like, you know, a desaturated of color, that there's desperation, but there isn't desperation of people that are in the outside world because they're behind walls. So they've created what they could, and made the best. There's kids that were born after the apocalypse. So there's like
Right.
20-year-old people living in the QZ who have never been anywhere else. They've
Yeah.
never been outside of the walls. So
Ellie, for
they're
example,
living a
right?
life. They're they're not living during a war in that same sense. The war has happened, and now everyone's just on guard, and everyone's living in their communities as fortress communities. So within the QZ, there would be the black market trade. There would be reconstruction of pieces. There would be repurposed pieces. There would be, for the kids, just like in the olden days,
Oh,
if you had an older sister or brother, you wore their clothes until
hold me
it
down.
was worn out, and so on
Right.
down the line, or the neighbors and whatnot. So there's a lot of sharing and bartering. And so he really wanted to make sure that we had color, and each background performer, who are just amazing people because they put up with so much. It's so hard being a background performer.
Yeah.
Um, each background performer actually had a backstory, which never happens or very rarely happens.
Wow.
Each background performer, because we're talking about different people every day, and we're
Oh,
talking about 200 to 500 people every day.
every day.
So
It's
to
a
give
lot.
each one of those people a story in order to inform what they look like, because I wear this scarf
Incredible.
almost all the time. It's like my go-to thing.
Uh-huh.
So you might have a character, I might be a character in the story. So you want to know that about that character. You want to give
Right.
that to the background performer, same as you would for a main character. That's really tough to do, um, with large background crowds.
Okay.
Um, Even if you've got lots of crew and lots of time to do it, because
Wow.
all the background performers don't always come back to work the next day. Like
True.
sometimes it's a whole different group the next day, or there's just a small group. Say out of 200, there may be 50 people, um, that they'll keep bringing back. So you can keep the costume for those 50 people, and that all comes into scheduling. So,
Wow.
you know, at the beginning of an episode, for instance, they'll kind of map out what they're going to do on what day for 25 days.
Wow.
But that may change as the location changes, or the weather changes, if we're rained out or snowed out, or it's too
Going to
hot out and we're
change.
supposed to be shooting snow that day, or blah, 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 whatever
Mm.
happens. So we don't always get those people back.
Oh,
So then we're
well,
recreating again
you're
individual
always on the
people
go.
in the
So
background. Yeah, it's
things are always evolving and changing. So you have to be kind of
yeah,
quick and
yeah.
adaptable. No wonder you're optimistic too. It takes a mindset, I think. I don't think everyone can do your job.
You are
Absolutely
so
no one
right
can.
about that.
So,
You are so right about that. And there are people who come into the industry and quickly hightail it out. And
mm-hmm.
that's just smart. That's just being smart. It's an industry that's built on optimism and and probability that anything and everything will change,
Mm-hmm.
because you're working with so many elements, and they're long, hard days, and everything is, there's so many different facets within the industry. There's commercials, there's music videos, there's you know um, series, there's epic series, there's which is more there's more of those now because we have streaming. Then there's feature films, and then there's, short films, and then there's animated films, live action to animation, all within one film or series. So there's so many genres.
So many.
I think you can kind of, I did 3 commercials in
Really?
my life, and I did them at the beginning of my career, and maybe I would reconsider now because now I understand the industry better. But I did 3 commercials and I was like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do this, because commercials happen in the same sort of way, but they happen in like a day or
It's
3 days
nanoseconds.
or nanoseconds or
Yeah.
2 weeks if you're doing like a
Mhm.
big Mercedes campaign or something.
Yeah.
But generally they happen so fast. And if
Oh
a
my
producer
gosh.
says, I know I asked you for an elephant, but I want a giraffe, you have to come up with the giraffe. You have to
On
find
the
the
spot.
giraffe.
That's a little stressful, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Not for you, but at least you didn't
yeah,
get discouraged and said, I don't want to do costume design ever, because again, you have so many different areas that you can work with. Thank you.
exactly. You just have to find them, and you have to
Find your
find
passion.
your passion.
Mhm.
And you might start out someone,
Yeah.
I was doing a talk with a university, and someone said, well, my major's in interior design, not fashion design, but I'm really interested in do either interior or fashion design pertain to costume designing? And of course they do.
Yeah,
Of
they're
course
all
they do.
interchangeable. Go
You're going to
ahead.
have
Go
to
ahead.
pick up skills that you're not learning in what you're doing,
Yeah.
because it's a different sort of, it's a different model of
Yeah.
of 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 creating. But all of that, any kind of creating and any kind of learning color, learning bodies, learning
Yes.
where what environments that bodies are in, um, learning
Oh,
how to
it's incredible.
get from A to Z, all of that's pertinent, all of it.
Yeah.
And I think that film, because it's an ever-changing world as well,
Always.
a lot of it we just learn on the job.
Um, and
Just
you said you learned a lot on the job. I feel like
Mhm.
with me too, I have to do something like physically to like
Yeah,
learn it over time. Such a visual learner. I went to
yeah.
college and it was great, but I feel like I learned who I am today from just my environment and being just and
I
talking with
think
people.
I think that's
Yeah.
such an important point, because I think creatives, whether whatever creative genre you're in, I think we are practical people. I think we
Yeah.
are hands-on people. I think we really do need to talk it out with people. We need to
Mhm.
like show things. We need to feel things. We need, to drape something on a mannequin to see what
Yeah.
the fabric falls like, and put it under lighting. And oh my God, that's turned
It's
yellow.
visual.
Oh,
No, you
you
know
know,
it.
you
It's such
really
a visual. Hmm.
tangible. I think
Oh
we're
man,
creatures of a tangible world
I
that we
think
really
so
need
too.
to, yeah,
Can
to
you
be.
still go? I know we just have an hour, but can we? I have some more questions for you. Are you
Sure.
good or do you
Yeah,
have
I'm
to
good.
go?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Um, Gosh, you're so insightful. This is awesome. One question about, I know we love to ramble. I was gonna say, what was one of
Yeah.
your fondest memories of The Last of Us? Was it working just with the cast and crew? What was your absolute favorite memory that you could share?
There's a lot of them for sure.
Yeah.
One that has sort of come to the forefront again for me just recently was working with our makeup effects prosthetic team, who is Barry Gower and
Oh,
company
yes.
out of
I have a
London.
question about him for you.
Yeah,
Oh.
just because, at the beginning of this show, my producer friend Rose, and actually one of our first ADs, had said to me, Cynthia, because we worked together before on big projects, said, think of this show like like Altered Carbon or Lemony Snicket or
Mhm.
Snowpiercer or any of those big productions, and this is like 20 times big, 100 times bigger. It's like infinitely bigger. And I'm like, but it's a contemporary show in a sense. How could it be bigger? Like, we're not creating fantasy costumes,
Uh-huh.
outer, space
Please.
in the future. And I had no idea. It's just the volume. And because it's simpler, you have to be more specific, if that makes sense. You
Oh, yeah.
have to be more accurate with what you're doing. You have to be more accurate with the fine details, with the minutia of
Mhm.
costume and how it integrates with other departments. So
Yeah, with
for me,
very
working
intense.
with props, whom I loved on this show,
Uh-huh.
and props and makeup effects and lighting were probably, oh, and stunts, of course, were
Yeah.
probably, we were one department in a sense.
Mhm.
None of us could really move forward without knowing what the other was doing. So
Collaborative effort again and
yeah, so Barry
getting
Gower,
everything.
what an amazing, what a lovely human being. Hi,
Mhm.
Barry, if you ever listen to
I
this.
know, and I really want to interview him. I actually messaged him, "Barry, if you're watching this, you're
Yeah.
next." Yes.
Oh, yeah. And Paul, who is his man, who is his right hand that was with us on set because
Mhm.
Barry, had other things going on as well. So he's a busy man.
Very
But
busy.
working with his team with the prosthetics and integrating the prosthetics into the costume and
Great.
vice versa was so huge for the clickers and the infected,
Yes.
um, primarily, was a huge learning curve for me. And really, I'm just the bystander at that point because my crew is my breakdown department worked.
Mhm.
I have an amazing team who's worked with me on all these projects that I just mentioned,
Fantastic.
and they all
They
came
nailed it.
they all came, they were all happy to jump on board and relocate to do this
Wow.
show. And we all were, yeah, it was that was one of my,
Fantastic. I think
yeah,
that you and Barry set the path for future films too. I'm sure there's a lot of
yeah.
inspiration from this.
Yeah. I
Hopefully
mean,
you've
Barry does
inspired
all this,
others.
he does all the big crazy stuff,
Oh,
he
I've
does
seen some of his
Witcher
work.
and like all of
Oh, now
that.
that's kind of
They,
horror. I don't know if you
yeah.
can work when you work on a horror film with him. Oh my gosh, it's
I
nice.
mean, I mean, well, the White Walkers. So see, the White
Game of
Walkers,
Thrones.
because he did
Mm-hmm.
all the Game of Thrones. The White Walkers for me were fascinating because I mean, obviously it was CG, but it was like the prosthetic on the
Mm-hmm.
actors, also the horses, also, like all the giants and like anybody who became, an unliving person. The White Walkers were for me probably as deep into horror as
Oh, I
I
don't
could
like it. I don't
get.
like it. No, I haven't
Yes.
even watched Game of Thrones, honestly. I'm too
Oh,
first episode 5 times. My husband wants me to watch it more. But
oh,
no, I can imagine that.
I got to the Red Wedding and I had
Oh,
to
I've heard.
stop. I
Yeah,
got the Red
early
Wedding, I
premiere.
had to stop. And
Mhm.
then I was like, I couldn't, and it took 2 years before I could go back
2
and
years. Okay, I feel better about myself.
start watching it
Thank
again.
you, Cynthia.
And I've now seen all of it.
Fantastic.
I haven't watched the new one, but
Mhm,
but all but all the but I went back and I did watch the whole
mhm.
thing. But yeah, after the Red
Okay.
Wedding, I just had to stop. I had to stop. Like
Yeah. Oh my
I
gosh.
regroup after that one.
Yeah. Oh,
So
hey, I have a question too. I know it's going back to Last of Us. So Bella Ramsey is vegan, and they talk about it a lot on some
yeah,
interviews.
yeah,
If do you go off of their veganism for
totally.
clothing, or do you have to wear
Totally. And I
clothes
totally skipped
sometimes?
over Tentry. So
Oh, no, you're fine.
yes.
You don't need to
So
market them. We're fine.
yes. I'm also vegan. So
Oh,
that's
fantastic.
easier for me. The hard part about dressing cast who are vegan or cast who are just environmentally
Environmental friendly. Yeah.
concerned and want to, use their platform to
Mhm.
promote, right down to like what they're wearing as characters. The hard part about that is, um, I'm creating something for a network or a studio
It's huge.
and a
HBO,
producer.
right? They're so
And there
big.
are some things that are out of my control, but for the
Mhm.
most part, I try really hard to for all the cast, not just the people who are vegan or animal activists or
Mhm.
um, environmentalists. I try to use I don't want to like I don't want to bury myself here, but I
Yeah.
try to and hopefully and mostly never use wool or never use fur. And that's
Yeah.
much easier these days because now of even the
The
couture
fur.
houses are coming out with, you know, man-made. So this is
Mhm.
great. And there's such great faux furs out there now.
There's so
Um,
many.
so
All
many,
that stuff. I couldn't
so
even
many.
tell. And is
Yeah.
it necessary? I don't think so.
No, it's not necessary. I mean,
Not at
you
all.
can go into a deep dive with this kind of thing, well,
I
where
bet.
is the gopher
It'll be
from?
part 2 podcast.
How is it made? Yeah. What's who made it? Like there's
Mhm,
all of that goes into all of this movement of
mhm,
what that is so important that I'm so behind. But I had an actress who is a very public vegan, and I was really worried about how I was not on Last of Us, but on
mhm.
how I was going to dress her, because we did have some period um pieces that we needed to use, which were either um leather shoes
Yes, I
or
period dresses.
or wool garments.
Mhm.
And she was really great. She really kind of shone a new light on it for me. She said, I will wear leather shoes because I know it's necessary, but just do not buy anything new for me. Meaning,
Ah,
let's not support industry
right,
right now, but I will wear vintage. And vintage can be
right.
like, last season, really. But in this case, it was actual vintage. So it's like
Like
1940s. And I really
old
needed
times
to use
when
no old time. And that really helped me, because you can get into this mindset of, I can't use anything because I had another actress that I worked with for years.
mhm,
She was my first. This is a long time ago. She was my first
right.
hardcore vegan. And it was rough
Wow.
because, and I totally admire her for it. And I adopted it as mantra for myself. But basically, obviously no fur, no leather, no wool, no silk. And what was the other one? Basically, she could wear cotton.
I was gonna say, yeah, 'cause wool,
I'm like, what am I going to do with that? I don't
huh?
know. I don't know. But,
Mhm.
we made it work. There is a way. I don't even remember. That was so long ago. I don't even
It's
know where I
so
got it.
interesting though, and you
And
have to get creative too.
now there's a lot more available to us in the vegan
Good.
world. Like
Yeah.
everything I wear is vegan. And people always ask me, where'd you get the clothes?
Wonderful. Thank you for speaking about this. I think people
Yeah.
wanna know this and
Yeah.
how to adapt this
Eco-
into film.
Veganism and eco fashion. Maybe it's better
Mhm.
to call it eco fashion
I
than
like that. Is that
'cause
a term that you made up? Eco-fashion?
no, it
Oh,
lives
it's
out
part of the
there,
world? Okay.
because veganism is a personal thing as well.
Mhm,
And as I mean, I think everyone should be vegan. It's better for the animals, the planet,
mhm. I'm
every
pescatarian right now, and I'm loving it.
are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm slowly transitioning. I
And
really
that's
do
the
enjoy
thing.
it.
That's the thing. I
Yeah.
always tell people, be gentle with yourself, because it's an evolution. Didn't
Mhm,
become a vegan overnight. I was a vegetarian for
mhm.
decades before I became a vegan. But becoming a vegan for me, um, from vegetarian to vegan, was a political move for me, because now that I know how we get dairy.
You have great content, by the way, on your Instagram.
Oh,
I follow it
sometimes I
all.
scare people, but I don't know.
Me
There,
too.
someone put a post out and said, I'm vegan because you won't watch the videos. And people have to watch this and
Mhm,
take this kind of stuff in when they're ready for it. There is a
mhm.
sense of urgency now, I think, though, because the environment's just
Oh, it's
like
just
tanking
detrimental and
so
just
fast.
depressing. I know.
Yeah.
But
So,
that's
and
amazing. You have in your
animals,
everyday life. So you
yeah,
are really knowledgeable and you can adapt this to your
I
career.
can. I
And the
can.
directors and the cast crew, they're accepting too if you wanna go a route of more
Yes, and
eco-friendly.
if I have an actor that's vegan,
Mhm,
or isn't vegan necessarily, but says they won't wear fur, they will not wear leather.
mhm.
Um, if I have that to back me up, then that's great.
Right.
That's
Mhm.
that's like coming from the gods in a
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
Then it's like, oh yes, okay,
Mhm.
do what you need to do. Um,
Question, are you
yeah.
able to go back for season 2, or is that not talked about and you can't say
Um,
anything?
can't say now.
No, that's okay. But
Yeah.
whatever it is, I know the costumes will be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, season one
Uh-huh.
was great. Season two will be a continuation, as far
Mhm.
as I understand it.
Yeah.
And they have said that there's going to be more of the clickers,
More
more
of
of
the cookers.
the
It'll
infected.
be a heck of a story, and I know that,
Yeah,
Neil and Craig said in months and not years starting. It makes sense.
yeah,
Came
yeah,
about, which is
yeah. And if you
fantastic.
follow the game, I think you kind of know where it's
Yeah.
going. So
No,
people, that's
exactly.
sad, but also it
I
means
hope
that Tommy kind of rises up somewhat,
oh,
which is great, because I loved working
yeah,
with that
with
these
that
actors,
team.
all of
We
them. They're all. Yeah.
Can you tell me the hardest part on set of The Last of Us? It's such a huge set, right? Working with, so what was one of the
You know,
hardest parts? It could
you
be
know, on Last of Us and maybe like Game of Thrones and any other show that shoots in the dead of winter on locations that are actually as cold as they
it's
look or
cold, right?
colder.
Was the redness fake or a little bit
No,
of makeup? It was
no, I mean
really
everybody
cold.
had some makeup on, but
Yeah.
I mean that's when you look at Bella's face, for instance, her pinkness really comes through.
Yeah, it's
Like
showing
the
through.
cold, that pink you get when you cold, the
Yeah.
ruddiness you get when you're cold. That was real. I mean, I know that Pedro somewhere was talking about the temperature, and it was a clip of him walking through the snow. I think he had his backpack, I guess. And in film, we use these gigantic, huge fans. They're called E-fans.
Mhm.
And the fan was blowing as well as the snow was falling and blowing because they needed the snow to fall in a different direction or harder on him or something. So, I mean, and if you think about the clickers,
Cold.
the infected people
They're
out in the
naked.
snow, in the
Almost
cold,
not naked.
they're almost naked. They
Yeah.
are almost naked. So we have to underdress them.
I
So
was gonna ask such a technical because
yeah,
it's almost not liability, but you want to make sure
it is.
your
Oh, it's a
crew is
liability for sure.
taken care of.
There's a scene that didn't make it in the show, I don't think, because I went back and I was looking for it.
Mhm.
We had dead people, dead infected people lying in the snow, and we
Oh,
shot it
freezing.
freezing, and it was at the top of a cliff side over the lake or the river.
Must be
And
episode
the
8 then,
wind,
that kind of.
yeah, yeah, the
Mhm.
wind was going like crazy. And because infected and clickers have no senses anymore, they don't feel cold, they don't feel pain in any kind of way. Um, we had to dress them. I mean, we actually cheated with them because if you look at the clickers, they don't have shoes on. They don't have, there's whole, the
They're
threadbare. You
kind of
see their
exposed.
bodies, they're super exposed. We just couldn't do that with real human beings. They had to be able to run. So they have shoes on. They have boots on or shoes of some sort. But we kind of tried to sort of marry what was ever happening in on their legs into their footwear. So
Mhm.
I mean, if you know the game, you know that they're almost naked.
Yeah,
But if you look at them here, the degradation in their costume just looks like degradation,
it
like from
does.
the top on down. And then we
100%.
tried to show prosthetics and skin, on the upper bodies, primarily because that's where the camera's going to land a lot of the time is up
Oh,
here.
yeah, and
We're
that
cowboy
brain.
up
That
here.
makes
Let's
sense.
say start on a foot or something, but mostly in film you see kind of up here because
Right.
this is where the language happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so
Oh,
most of
cold
the
weather.
holes and the prosthetics happen on the upper body,
Mhm.
so that we could see them.
Right.
We were
But
shooting.
working in those extreme weathers, you have
Yeah.
to, like,
So
and obviously,
we
oh,
had
I can't
all of
imagine
the
what you have to
more,
do.
yeah, all of the more undergarments that were actually heated.
Nice. Mhm.
So they had to be thin enough to actually go underneath
Yeah, because
the
you're
compression
wearing big jackets, especially the
over.
snow
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
I think
It
Bella
had
was
to,
wearing jeans. Oh, jeans. Why
yeah.
jeans? It's so cold and wet. You know when jeans get wet? The worst feeling
Worst,
ever.
the worst.
And
The
the tapes. What
one,
if you do you have multiple jeans, by the way? So if they
oh,
fall,
yeah, like, everything you see, there's at least 30 of them, at least,
okay. Do you have
and
any
more.
items?
No, I don't.
You're not
HBO
allowed to keep
owns
them.
everything, and everything they own goes into
Who,
their archive.
who is HBO?
HBO, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, maybe they'll
yeah.
have a Last of Us museum. Hopefully your work will be
Hopefully,
at
yes.
the Academy Museum. I should talk to them. We need the
Yes,
Last of Us Academy Museum. That'd be
yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
for you.
We need to get in to fit them and
But
whatnot.
that is a challenge working with the weather.
Yeah.
I don't know if season 2 will have more heat. I imagine so. I don't see snow for a little bit of snow.
No, there's a little bit of snow. They kind of go back to Jackson, but
Mhm.
there'll probably be rain
Yeah,
because
it's kind of swampy in
Seattle.
Seattle. I know. Here we go. And then I know we went over, but I can edit this out or whatever. Can I
Yeah,
ask you just a couple lighthearted personal questions? This is
sure.
kind of a thing that I'm trying to do too. I believe that everyone's more alike than not. We can all get together just by asking simple questions, and everybody has a different answer. So we can power through these
Interesting.
really quick. What is your favorite way to unwind and relax when you're not working?
Oh, You mean at the end of my day or just in
Yeah,
general
it
when
could
I have
be end
time
of the
off?
day or when your time off. Either one.
Don't have much time off. Therefore, I don't have many uh
Yeah, it
what
could be after a long day then if you're pretty
yeah.
busy.
After a long day, the first thing I do is I get home and I
Mhm.
put on my pajamas.
It's me too. I take off my bra.
All the hardware comes off. Biggest things go on, whether it's sweatpants or pajamas. And
Mhm.
I love to watch. This is crazy, but I still do. I love to put on something that I have seen and seen and seen that I can
Comfort.
walk away from and putter around and just hear and
Hey,
makes me feel
I love
uplifted,
that.
which a lot of the time actually is Schitt's Creek.
Oh, I have a shirt that says "You, David," and the apothecary. I'm so glad you mentioned Schitt's
Yeah,
Creek. Oh, I
yeah,
wish there was more seasons. That would have been a
yeah.
fun
Oh,
set to
yes,
work
that would
on.
have been amazing.
They were
Yeah,
in Canada too, I think. They
they
filmed
were in
in Canada,
Toronto. Yeah, yeah,
Toronto. Oh,
yeah,
that's a good way to wind down.
yeah.
Speaking of that, I know you're vegan, which you mentioned. What is your favorite comfort food?
Um, anything kind of
Any?
deep fried, which is really bad for
Oh
you.
yeah.
But there
Okay,
was,
vegan. Is there a good deep fried? I like French fries.
so well, and that's the go-to when you go to a restaurant that really doesn't handle vegan stuff. It's
Ve-
they
French
either
fries
give
and a
you there's
salad,
like
maybe.
French fries and salad, potatoes, and there's pasta. Um, but there is a deep fried version of vegan calamari. Oh my God,
Oh my gosh. Is it a local
so
restaurant that
good.
you go to?
It is a local restaurant in Calgary when we were shooting there,
Oh,
and I
cool.
haven't found it exactly the same anywhere else. Whatever their recipe is, so good.
Oh,
So
I want
good.
to go. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's super creative. Okay, thank you for that. Um, did you so I'm guessing you've traveled a lot for your work. Is there a place that you have not been? Or my question is, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
For work,
No, just personal.
personally?
Or it could
Oh,
be for work too. That's what I like the broad question.
yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm dying to work in Great Britain, which is not really that far, or no offense, Great Britain, that exotic, but it is. It's different.
Yeah.
I would love
Oh,
to do that because that would be a different genre of film for sure. I'm 100% sure that I haven't worked on yet, which is period,
oh,
like real period.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that'd be fantastic.
yeah.
Great.
Exotic wise, exotic wise. Um, I used to love going to Mexico. Mexico just seems like a harder place for someone
Yeah.
for to go these days,
You
which
get
is so
inspired by
bad.
traveling. I'm
I
sure you
love
get inspired
Mexico.
by your travels and that can
Yeah, I love
help you.
Mexico. Costa Rica. I want to go to Costa Rica.
Okay.
That's
That
the
would
new
be my next
Mexico
one.
for me, I'm hoping.
Okay. Fabulous answer. Good answer, truly. Um, do you have a skill or hobby that might surprise people? I had a last guest really quickly. He was the director and writer of a short film that Bella Ramsey did called Villain, and
Yeah.
he shook his eyes. What's your
Oh,
little talent trick?
oh my gosh. I don't have anything as interesting as
Me
that.
neither. Okay, do you have a hobby or something that's different from costume design that you're pretty kicked
Yes,
about?
yes. If I wasn't a costume designer, I would definitely have a sanctuary for animals.
Beautiful.
That's what I would
Oh,
do. Started off with dogs, but now I think it would be anything. In fact,
you can get a sheep ranch like Joel
yes, yes,
Miller.
yes. I think I might have some
Oh,
chickens and goats where I'm at now at some point,
oh.
but they'd
And
have to be rescue.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I am a cat person. My husband and I have two cats. They're my fur, but I want more cats. We just don't have enough room. If I
It's
could
really,
adopt
it's
every
really,
cat.
oh yeah, it's easy to have too many cats as well.
Yeah.
Because I think the cats, I have only
Yeah, I was
one.
gonna say my next question was, do you have any pets? And if so, can you tell us about them?
I do. I have let's see here. I have I usually have at least 3 dogs at one time.
That's
However, and a couple of cats.
amazing.
At the
Uh-huh.
at the moment I'm down to um one
Oh,
companion who is
mhm.
Ruby Russell, who I found in LA on the streets when he was
You're
just
kidding. Don't
a day.
make me cry.
I
I
know,
love animals.
turning 13. Rudy, are you here? Oh,
13. Rudy.
13. Rudy, right here. Let's see how clear. No, here.
That's a fantastic name. Yeah, if we smile, I can make this the, the yay.
There's Rudy.
A little chihuahua mix, yeah?
Hi. He's like a chihuahua.
Hey,
Look, he's an
sweet
old man.
baby.
He's all
Yeah.
gray.
Here, I'll take a screenshot. Ready? You want to smile? Ready? One. Yay. Okay, wait, stay there. Okay, one more.
We
God,
both
that's
got
so
squinty
cute.
eyes right now.
Oh
He's
my
Rudy's
gosh.
been Rudy is the ultimate, isn't he? I have pictures of everybody with Rudy. Hi, buddy. He's
Aw.
the ultimate. He's the best.
Did you bring him on set for The Last of Us?
I usually, he's always in the production office, so
Oh,
he is
cool.
always at the fittings. He meets all the
Bella adopted a dog named Skipper, and it was in The Last of Us like post episode, and Craig was holding Skipper.
So Bella met Rudy when she came to Calgary and fell in love with Rudy. And she probably had been wanting a dog for a while and heard Rudy's story and that he's a rescue, et cetera, et cetera. So Bella and her mom, it was her mom, I don't know if her dad was there then.
Mhm.
Bella and her mom went to a rescue in Calgary and got Skipper. She
It's
was,
great. And then they
yeah,
fly the dog back to the UK, I guess, when you're done.
yeah,
Like mom can take them.
yeah, yeah. Rudy flies with me everywhere.
Amazing. You
Yeah.
are promoting. So I love your dream about its sanctuary. Do you have a book or movie that has had a profound impact on your life?
Mm. Um, Well, definitely, as I said before, maybe that was more for my career, but
Yeah, the movie when you're 6, I forgot the name, but that was like
Harvey Milk. There was the movie called Milk, and it was about
no,
Harvey
it
Milk.
was a
Yeah,
political movie. I was kind of, I think I was young, but I do remember the iconic actors.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Neil Patrick?
that, sorry?
Was it Neil Patrick Harris? I'm confused.
No,
Oh no.
no, it was, gosh, I've forgotten his name.
I
Okay,
have to
don't.
look at, oh, Sean Penn.
Sean Penn, yes. I was
Yeah.
gonna say you have to edit this out for a minute. He was married to Madonna for 5 minutes. That's why
Oh,
I'm remembering him.
that's a good movie. I like that.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was kind of, because I think I can't remember when that came out, but I think that is really, oh, you know, in tune with like the gay movement and the challenges and the
Mhm,
lesbian movement. But I'm not gay.
mhm.
So I didn't know the Harvey Milk story. And I remember seeing that, and really the performances were amazing, but learning who Harvey was, and the movement, his movement, and what he did politically, and just sort of where that took that movement, just really
Oh,
kind of stayed with me. Yeah, that was,
oh wow.
I haven't thought about that for a while.
I mean,
Interesting.
interesting. I need to watch Milk. I actually personally haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I would like to.
I remember, I think it's a feature film. I don't know if it was on
Yeah, no, it was popular. I
streamer.
totally remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cynthia, can you tell me about a personal goal or dream that you haven't yet achieved?
Ooh, personal goal. I'm kind of old. Let me see.
Don't you ever say that again. Ever.
Or I've lived a lot. Um, I mean, I I really, really would love to have a sanctuary. And
Yeah,
I and that
yeah.
would be a goal or a dream. And maybe that's actually an attainable goal.
It's so attainable.
Yeah, I don't know what I have to do that. Another designer just actually let me know yesterday that one of her crew members quit
Mhm.
film, sold her house, and bought some land and has started a sanctuary. So I guess that's how
Okay.
you do it.
Um,
Yeah.
have you seen the show Queer Eye? It's one of my favorites.
Which?
Queer Eye.
Oh, Queer
New
Eye. Yes.
season.
Yes. Yeah.
There's actually an amazing episode. You have to check it out where they go to a woman's place. It's definitely in the South, but it's
I've
a
seen that.
sanctuary. Oh, you know what I'm
I've
talking
seen that.
about?
That
Yeah.
poor woman. That
That
poor
poor woman
woman.
was
Oh,
everywhere, and her kids were taking the
she
animals,
was
but
just so stretched
chaotic. And
beyond
I was like,
any capability of, like, oh, just what an
she wants
amazing
to give
woman.
so much and can't not
Oh,
basically too much, but she's
so
big heart.
yeah.
But
And I
that's
hope
the
that
episode.
what they did for her, I hope that really stayed. I
Yeah.
haven't I've never checked out her sanctuary actually as a
I have to look that up.
oh
How
yeah.
about Carol Baskins? I'm just kidding. From Tiger King. Ew.
Oh, oh,
Those
oh,
ones make me
Tiger
sad.
King.
I don't like them.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. No,
Oh,
every once in a while, something like that. There's another guy who has are they jaguars or something? And he
Mhm.
swims with them, and he just like,
The extreme
so
situation.
right. Oh,
There's a place in Vegas that has, I think, a tiger, and it's like pacing. It's so lonely. It makes me
oh,
so sad.
oh,
I
we
have
can.
only like 3 more questions. I don't want to take up too much time. This has been so much fun. I love the title I'll talk to at the end. You're fantastic. We
Oh,
can stay
you're
in
so
touch.
sweet. You're so sweet. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I love that you do this. I love
thanks.
the whole sort of movement of this new generation of
I appreciate it.
social media and connecting people. I think it's so
I'm a huge empath, connecting, building genuine connections. And I do like the film industry. That's why I ask obviously those kind of specific questions. But
yeah.
everyone's human, and obviously my whole thing was not interviewing people in the limelight. It would be great to
Right.
interview Bella and Pedro, but the
Sure.
people behind the scenes that make all of the work come together. I mean, you're such a, like I said, a vital role.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
great. I think it's great for me too. It's great for everyone. And I think that it's important for viewers to know that too, that I get as much out of
do
this.
people reach out to you? I know you have
Yeah,
such a
people reach out
fantastic
to me all the time
Instagram.
now, and
Yeah.
I've met so many people. I have met designers whose dresses I've worn on the red carpet. I've
Oh,
met,
cool.
people who have seen something and just want to talk about something
Yeah.
else completely, like Tentry, which I keep trying to talk about and I keep forgetting.
Oh, we can wrap it up with Tintry. Hey, Tintry, sponsor us.
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
it would be great.
my next question is, if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who
Oh
would
no,
it be?
this question.
I know this
Oh
question is
man.
hard. My last guest from Villain, the director and writer, he said Frederick Douglass, and he would not
Oh,
speak at all. It's like
oh,
it's a powerful answer.
wow. Wow. Well, I have lots. They're all women. Isn't that interesting?
Fantastic.
Yeah, Jane Goodall. I would
Oh
love,
my gosh. She was
love.
actually just on Kelly Clarkson's show in LA, and that's a great
Goodall
answer.
for sure.
Oh, you would be buddies with her. Have you
Yeah.
met her? You never met her?
Oh gosh, no.
You should reach out to her.
I should. I should. I mean, talk about someone with a lifelong career and passion and um for the greater good. I mean, just what a
Oh,
icon.
yeah.
I'd love to meet Frida Kahlo as well. I know Frida's maybe more of a go-to for just about everybody, but
That's a fantastic
yeah,
to
yeah.
both comment.
Where are you going?
I don't even have, I've never even thought about the question. I'm always asking. I don't know.
Right? I
Wow,
think
it's
you
hard
could
to
be
think.
somebody different at different times in your life too, obviously.
Different areas. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I forgot to ask you. I was thinking, what's your biggest strength and what's your biggest weakness? I know it's interesting.
Mm. My biggest strength probably is patience. And that I think that, well, yes, I know this about myself, but when there's a crisis, I'm the person who gets quiet and stoic
Hmm.
while everybody else is freaking out. And not everyone, but there's always somebody in the room who's quiet and stoic, and then I speak. I don't know. I'm that's my strength. My um well, on the same note, perhaps. So my downfall is maybe that I'm too emotional.
That's okay. But you have tough skin. I remember
Yes,
when
I do have
you
tough.
get a no on a
There's a
on-
balance there.
yeah,
Yeah,
there is a balance.
yeah, yeah.
Weaknesses can become your strengths, but
Yes,
identifying your weaknesses is a strength, in my opinion.
yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
what are things that make you like fulfilled and happy in life? Like,
Being out in nature, and I don't do it enough. Animals make me really happy. My family and spending time, children make me really happy.
yeah,
Young children make me really happy. I was thinking about that the other
innocence.
day.
Oh, it's the innocence for me.
The other day, I'm really good with children from 0 to like 13.
Mhm.
And then I love the people that are like from 50 to whatever. There's in between group, which you
Many
fall,
like me. I'm
eh,
27. No, I'm kidding.
but not every, but I'm the most comfortable with those sort of like
Yeah.
like the bookend generations, I guess.
Mhm.
I'm really, really comfortable. I'm personally comfortable in
I
those
like that.
circles.
You can
Whereas
connect.
not that I dislike everybody in the middle, but
No,
I
no.
find that in good ways and bad ways, but in good ways, it's challenging for me because I don't always feel current, or I don't always feel what am I trying to say? I don't want to offend anyone,
But
but
then to know, like, I feel like I have an old soul. Like, my favorite artist is Ella Fitzgerald, and Louis Armstrong. My
yeah,
husband and I extroverted. Like, we keep to
yeah,
ourselves, and we have a little bit of friends. But yeah,
yeah,
I kind of understand what you're saying. It's hard to
yeah.
connect with people, especially nowadays. And I live in Los Angeles, and I feel like I'm not the typical bougie trying to
You're
fit in,
not.
trying to just be myself.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard.
Good for you. Good for it
Thanks.
is hard. It
Yeah.
is hard. But it's hard everywhere. And definitely
Mhm.
harder in a city like LA though,
Yeah.
where, it's interesting on that note and Hollywood. And one of the biggest comments I get personally, visually about me is like, you have such short bangs. And I'm like, I've had these
What do you
bangs
even say to
forever.
that? It's
I
like,
know. Sometimes it's like a comment, and
mhm.
sometimes it's like when you admire something of somebody else has or does, and you kind of wish, and whether you would do it or
Admire.
not
Yeah.
is another thing. It's that a little bit, and so a lot of the times it's just like, this is not Hollywood.
It's so rude and get your high horse.
I
Um,
know, but
oh,
or not even Hollywood, but LA. It's just not LA. It's really,
it's
I'd fit in New
so
York
true.
then maybe,
I
I guess.
agree. Oh yeah. Um, oh, I know what this should be the last question because again, I want a lot of these people to listen who are up and coming um in the film industry. If you could say any advice to any aspiring costume designers
Oh,
or people in the film industry, you have a lot of insight from all sorts of departments. What's the biggest thing? Is it
yeah.
patient?
I think if you are aspiring to be a costume designer or just be in film in general, I think you need knowledge is key, and being open. Definitely getting an education is super duper helpful, but you also have to be quick on your feet.
Mhm.
And, if you get into it, if you have the opportunity to do an independent film that has, most people are working on those for free, or commercials or music videos or anything that's a sort of smaller format. Just grab all every opportunity that comes your way. I think that I said yes to absolutely everything up until about 10 years ago.
I
So
love that.
before my career started and even after, because I think we're always learning and evolving in this industry, and you just need to be open. And you can say yes, and you can determine later that it's not for you. But if you say no, you will never have the opportunity.
You might not ever know what that could have been like. You're right,
That's right.
experience is what I'm
That's
getting
right.
at.
That's right. And you need to be open to. So if you want to be in the costume department, don't call me, but you can definitely reach out Instagram or whatever. I
Yeah,
get a lot
it's
of people asking,
fantastic.
and I'm happy to have, pass on any information I can, but you really need to be open um, to doing anything within the department you're aspiring to, or even if you start in props, or if you start in set deck, or if you start in the hair department, or I don't know, makeup department,
Mhm.
doesn't mean you can't segue into another department like costumes or something else. But I think just getting into the industry and getting to work with people who will teach you things, because so much you learn on the fly. You just learn on the job. It's just the
Mentioning.
way it is.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of us work slightly differently. Like, I work differently than some other designers that I know. Therefore, then the trickle down in the department is everybody has a job. There's a job description for every job we do, but they can be slightly different. And the beauty in that is you're never bored. You're always learning.
I
And I
love
think
that.
that's,
Always learning. And you're still learning do you still learn every
I'm
day
still
when you
learning.
go to a new?
I'm still learning because the industry will always be evolving and changing.
Mhm.
And working in different genres, you're always going to be learning new things. Um, you just need to be open, and you need to say yes.
I love that.
To take care of yourself,
Yeah,
you
put
need to
yourself
be
first.
aware and be smart and take care of yourself, but you need to say yes, because that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to make connections. If I called you up tomorrow and said, I need someone to go down to Target and pick up 5 things because no one else can do it for me. And I know you sent me your resume
Yeah,
2 years ago,
they remembered you.
but
Yeah.
I need you. Are I remembered you and blah, blah. Can you go do that? As hard as it is, because you may be doing something else or have another job or have kids or have to be doing at work, you need to try and say yes. You need to try and make it work because that may be your one in. And it's all about ins in this industry. It's very
so
much
about
that way.
And networking and figuring out.
Networking and just being positive when you get there. And don't be afraid to ask questions because, you know, you don't know everything. But just be upbeat and positive and, you know, a go-getter.
Oh,
That's what we're always looking for is can-do people and smart. And, you know, everybody's smart, but, you know, just ingenuity is smart as well. Ingenuity is a good thing to have as well, or to lean into your ingenuity because everybody has that as well.
beautiful.
Right, Rudy?
Yeah, you're a breath of fresh air. The industry needs more of you.
Oh, I think we're there. I think there's lots of us out there.
Oh,
But I think that's how we're going to get to meet everybody is through, you know, venues like yours where we get to actually just talk and talk shop.
You're an awesome human being and you're doing so much for the world. Every little bit counts. You're passionate. Hope to meet you in person one day. Let me know when you're in Los Angeles.
Yes, I'll be there soon, actually. But
There's some great vegan restaurants too. Love to grab lunch on me.
Yes. That'd be great. That'd be great. Well, thank you so much. Again. Thanks for being patient with my non-technical.
Oh, no problem. All right. Bye, Cynthia. You're a pleasure. And we'll talk soon.
Bye.